Non-spoiler, baby. All right. What do you love specifically about Running Man? Why'd you pick this movie? You're about to explain it to us, I believe.
There's a few different things that I love about this movie, and by the by, I'd like to establish that the things that I love about this movie are fucking correct. Fuck you both.
Oh, wow.
Well, buy me dinner first.
Shut up.
It's gonna be good.
This is getting heated. All right.
No, it's a thing that I really appreciate about like a lot of movies, but being somebody who is an actor and who has, you know, been on screen and on stage and is now behind the mic, I will watch movies and just like try to pick out the roles that get the most, like the roles that involved the least amount of acting but still got somebody a SAG card. And we just came across one of them in this, where
we have the movie on mute in the background, as is the tradition of movie
as
Vaders.
is tradition. Where can't even remember the one-off guy's name. Like nebbish man with glasses is asked who he thinks is going to be up next.
Oh, which one of the stalkers is going to be up next?
Thank you.
Yes.
I couldn't remember like if this is the part where I can actually talk about things. Or
No.
not talk
So
about
you
things.
can talk about the functions, just don't spoil it.
I will do my best. But anyway, he just basically rubbed his hands together for a moment and went like, oh, geez, I don't know. And like, that's a fucking SAG card. Good for that dude. I haven't seen him in anything else since, but like that man was eligible for healthcare for a year.
Wait, really? Because you have to...
I'm exaggerating, but like that, you definitely need to make your minimums in order to be able to...
Are you going to look that up?
No, I was not going to look that up.
Wow, we got a live fact checker.
I haven't done... We have live fact checked when we have like 4 people on, and one of us can go and fact check real quick. Hey, look that up. All right, Jamie... I'm not going to identify what podcast that could be.
So real quick, because we did the interview portion already, and I know that that's coming later on in terms of this sequence. Like, are we introducing any of this at all?
Welcome to Movie Baiters with the Farx Brothers.
Jesus.
He got so mad at me. I kept saying this is Movie Baiters.
In the middle of the show. You don't need to reintroduce the show in the middle of the show.
It's branding.
We're in the middle of it.
He's correct. Yeah, it's just like you do it at the top, which, by the by, as somebody who has a keen sense of these things, you're fucking welcome.
Yes. When I hear
the
name of the show,
we actually said good point, not great.
Yeah, it's a good
Dang
point.
it.
You'll get that joke when you get the episode.
It's all good.
3.
Just listen better.
What's your relationship to Stephen King being an East Coaster? Or Richard Bachman, I mean. Actually, he's from... Richard Bachman, what do you know about Richard Bachman, either of you?
He had a pretty serious overdrive with Ted Turner for a while.
What?
I have... Bachman Turner overdrive.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank
Jesus.
you. I sort of get that.
This is not an improv podcast.
This is a scene. You're already in the middle of a scene. You've been in it for, 35 episodes.
I know nothing about Richard Bachman and Stephen King. As an East Coaster, I have taken probably 2 or 3 times every summer I go to his house because we all know each other. And
But do you know this is a Stephen King movie, right?
I did not.
Okay.
it is?
What?
Huh.
Actually, no, we're going to debate this right now. It's not a fucking Stephen King
It's a Richard
movie.
Bachman movie?
Yes, thank you.
Because, do you...
Shut up.
Explain the difference between Richard Bachman and Stephen King.
Well, they are 2 different people.
They're not.
One of them is
that works.
Richard. The
That
other one's Stephen. One of them has always looked like a ghoul, and the other one grew up into it.
Wow.
Richard Bachman, Stephen... So I went to go listen to the book to try and understand the differences.
You listened to the whole thing today?
I didn't listen to the whole thing today, but it opens...
Slacker.
I know. Sorry, podcast
Get
audience.
a job, Kyle.
I have several jobs. I have more than one job, in fact. One of them being podcaster. Richard Bachman is an invention of Stephen King that he sees Richard Bachman as a Wisconsin dairy farmer that also likes to write, and he wrote different things than Stephen King wrote, because Stephen King was Carrie, and Richard. So he wrote 4 books as Richard Bachman, and then this was the 4th one, and it has the happiest ending. of all 4 of his books. And then the 5th book, Thinner, which was my first introduction to Stephen King as a child. Like, my parents showed me Thinner. Just like, hey, it's on ABC. We can watch it.
Hey, man, my parents did that to me with Blue Velvet when I was like 9. I
No
still have
way.
questions.
The ants?
Sure.
At the beginning of the movie when they go from the
that I blocked a lot of that movie out.
Okay.
I should have asked for that tonight. See
man.
what I remember.
Now I want to have you back next season for Blue Velvet. Have you seen Blue Velvet, brother?
I haven't.
Okay.
We'll watch it. Yeah.
Are you a David Lynch guy?
No, not that much.
Okay, so
That actually reminds me, if we're going to debate things, I did come in tonight thinking that like I might try to just totally derail this and make you all debate, or make you all try to convince me, which you would never do, that movies are the superior form of visual storytelling, because they're not. It's television.
in what sense?
In the sense that TV has much better rhythm to it. You can
how
tell so much more over so much longer, but the rhythm actually breaks down to work with people's brains better in the ways in which they can digest stories.
I would argue a 2-hour format has...
You would argue incorrectly.
Thank you. A consumable in a sitting for a broader group of people currently. Like, yes, people's attention spans have shrunk to less than a tadpole, but then they'll also listen to a 3-hour podcast or whatever. I think what you're referring to is modularity, and how when you can just add modules onto something, you're like some sort of Silicon Valley tech bro trying to be like, hey man, no, we'll just create an app store and people can keep adding to this. Whereas making one perfect chair like a carpenter might is what a movie is. You're Mark Zuckerberg. I'm Jesus Christ. Because he was a carpenter.
I want you to remember this feeling, because this is what it feels like to be to feel so incredibly right and to be so fucking wrong.
Both Jews. Mark Zuckerberg, Jesus Christ.
That's not the debate that we're having.
That'll make sense when they get to episode 3. So, Kirk, do you have a hard, fast opinion on?
I agree with Ian. I mean, television works a lot better, but
we're movie baiters, not TV baiters.
I mean,
It sounds like your
there
fault.
are pros and cons of TV. The con is that if it gets canceled, the story isn't finished, and you're left with a lot of stuff unanswered. With a movie, it completes the entire story sometimes, and then sometimes it also doesn't get a sequel, so there's pros and cons.
For linear listeners, I brought up Mario Brothers from the 90s when we were talking about Wicked Part 1, or Wicked Part 1, because it's on the billboard as Wicked, and then when you get in there, it's Wicked Part 1. Did you see it?
I have not, but I was just talking with my wife about this earlier, and I'm planning to, we're planning to go see it together, but she also was like, just a heads up, it's only part 1. Turns out a lot of people didn't realize that, and a lot of people have been very upset.
Okay, so you sit there for 2.5 hours.
So it's The Hobbit.
The Hobbit was going to be 2 parts.
Hobbit, sure.
I mean, watching both of you be like, eh.
I'll add something new for linear listeners. I like the alliterative.
SAG card. That dude's totally getting a SAG card.
Oh, the guy who couldn't decide between the 2 stalkers. Yeah. Running Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll get back to it.
I mean,
so glad you're here on this journey.
What?
Tangents are part of this show.
Thank you. You've accepted that as... See, that's why the podcast format is the superior format of any entertainment medium. Because you don't need to follow any. They could go out, who knows how many episodes. The hosts could change over time. And episodes could end suddenly.
Nice.
Thank you.
Damn.
Why did you pick this movie?
I heard that too, man. You should watch your back. I'm worried for you. And not because I'm going to do anything.
You explain it to him.
So there was a third Farx Brother before me, a second Farx Brother before me.
And Kyle ate him in the womb.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he...
That's what we're going with now. It's the reverse Cassandra Nova, and I know you don't get that reference, but
don't.
There's someone out there because you don't like.
Just go with
so
that.
Can I? I'm gonna bait you on this. You don't like sci-fi, and you don't like like when I talk to you about the movies, kinds of movies you like. You're not a sci-fi guy, right?
No, the closest that I can get, and this is part of why this works for me, is I do really dig on Philip K. Dick.
This is not Philip K. Dick.
It's definitely not. But this is very much the kind of world and story that that works well within his world as well.
Because the other movie you suggested was Blade Runner, and I didn't feel like I could do enough homework ahead of time. Whereas I'd never seen this one, and I'm a Schwarzenegger fan. I was Schwarzenegger over Stallone, but I've started to move towards Stallone over Schwarzenegger and Clint Eastwood over both of them because it was better before.
I get that. You're wrong, but I get it.
Wait, why am I wrong?
Because it's a debate podcast. Shut up.
Thank you. Do you actually? You can't just end every argument by shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I sure can.
My daughters. I mean, yes, you can. When
Stop me. Make me.
Put my hand over your mouth. See, that's a challenge a child would understand.
This podcast is going to be awful for people who want to hear about the movie and just hear us
about
ranking
Running Man.
I don't know.
Listen to the Rewatchables episode from April that Bill Simmons did.
All right, so
you're a Boston guy.
The thing that I really dig about this, and thank you for knowing that about me. The thing that I really dig about this is also one of those ones that I saw when I was a pretty little kid, and it was it was kind of out of my realm at the time. This is a fairly common trope these days, but I really do enjoy movies that are set in the future, that in a future that has happened to us. And just seeing where and how it went right and wrong. And there are exactly in watching this, there are exactly two places where I think they nailed that, and the rest of it it's way the fuck off.
I can't wait to debate
for the
that.
hellscape of 2017. I think that they nailed two things. And they're both very, very, very subtle details because I pay attention. One of them is that there is smart homes exist in this world. You can talk to your coffee maker, you can talk to the appliances in your home, and they will do the things that you want. So the Alexification is there. And then the other one is that you can get a Coke out of a vending machine for $6.
Those are the two things.
So everything else is wrong.
Not the proliferation of reality TV.
When did that happen?
Not this extreme, though.
The proliferation of reality TV. There's been a couple of different jumps, like the 07-08 writer's strike led to
the Real World.
Yes, the massive jump in reality TV, because suddenly they didn't need writers, or they didn't need writers in the same way for that, and that shit got everywhere.
Guess when the Celebrity Apprentice started? 2008.
20. Oh, okay. I was gonna say 10.
No. So it was right after what came out of the writer's strike was Celebrity Apprentice, because The Apprentice started in 2004.
This really is the worst timeline.
Well, in the non-spoiler section, the movie takes place in 2017. Do you know when the book takes place, Ian? The book written by
I'm gonna
Richard
take
Bachman.
a guess based on where this is, based on how this looks. This movie came out in 1987.
Takes place in 2017.
I'm going to say that in the book, based on the technology that they're showing in this movie, I'm going to say that the book has it set in 1989.
Do you want to know the real answer?
I do.
I'm going to tell you. It's 2025.
Next
you know
year.
what's... so next year. That's when the Edgar Wright
That's like
remake
20
will come
days
out.
away.
Yeah.
Can
So
we debate that? How far away is the new year?
we could debate
Shut up.
whether or not time and space is experienced in the same way, because if we were able to leave the Earth and go into outer space... You've seen Interstellar?
I have not.
Okay, then I can't explain it to you because
it's
you need
fine.
to have seen Interstellar. Basically, Matthew McConaughey's Jessica Chastain daughter becomes...
Hold on. You're not gonna explain to him. You proceed to explain to him. What are you doing?
Basically,
Yeah.
if you went far enough off the planet, time would move slower for you.
Sure.
And
okay.
then you would age slower, but when you came back to Earth, time would have passed at the same rate. It's like the speed of light. This is what Einstein figured out.
No, that tracks. That all tracks. I will say, just in general for movies, and this is part of why you both gave me that look with Interstellar, and I get it. This is also part of why I'm a big TV guy. Is I have ADHD. TV, the rhythms of TV.
Brag about it.
Yeah, I will. It's made my life so.
The
much
rhythms
better.
of TV.
The rhythms of TV are so much easier for me to lock into and dip out of and come back to while still getting long form stories. I feel like and with that mode you can end up telling much richer stories because of that. But I typically need to be tricked into seeing new movies, or I need to go into it with a very deliberate I am going to this theater where I have no distractions. I have no choice but to sit here and deal with this movie for 2.5 hours or whatever it may be.
I'm going with my wife. My wife wants to see this movie.
Yes, and like even then, like it's a challenge for me. This is one that like because I saw it at such a young age, and then came back to it later on and had that like there was that thing in the back of my brain of like, oh, this is kind of familiar. Like I was able to sit down and get through it. Like I enjoy movies once I get past that experience, but I typically kind of need to be tricked into it.
Do you enjoy movies more the second time?
Very much so.
Do you enjoy movies more the second time, brother?
Well, it depends on the movie. If I really liked it the first time, I'll probably go back and try to enjoy it. I don't know if
I guess it's in relation to your expectations going into it the first time. Your virgin viewing, alliteration. Your virgin viewing of a movie. I find that
As a virgin.
a virgin?
Well, you said it's alliteration, so it's a virgin viewing. It's as a virgin.
Virgin.
Keep up.
I'm trying my best. I also have ADHD.
I'm outnumbered here.
Yeah, why don't you get some ADHD? I guess what I was trying to say is it's algebra, because you have to go in with some understanding of how much you expected to enjoy the movie, and then you track that, and then your second time, oh, I enjoyed this the first time, and now I'm looking for all the things I'll give a dumb example that you guys are going to laugh at me for. And this is why Clint Eastwood's better than the muscle-bound idiots of the 80s and 90s.
Which, by the by, I know we're supposed to debate on things, but that is 100% correct.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Damn it. So I saw the movie Bloodwork. You're agreeing with me, and I'm upset about it.
Yeah, well, get fucked.
Bloodwork from 2002, back 15, almost 20 years ago. And watching it a second time, I knew who the killer is. That's not a spoiler. And I enjoyed remembering that and then seeing which clues I could put together and which clues I had to figure out.
See, that's one of the... Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
no,
but
you haven't spoken yet.
You were telling me about expectations going into the first time. I don't go into a movie having expectation whether or not I will enjoy this movie.
You don't have any expectations when you walk into a movie. Let's go watch one of the direct-to-video Barbie
if it's
movies.
Good.
Okay.
Not like, is it good that I'm going to enjoy it? It's good. Yeah, I'll go see it. It's supposed to be a good movie. I'm just going to watch a good movie.
You've never gone to see a bad movie?
I'm with you on that. Like,
Yeah. It's not like because it's a good movie, I'm going to enjoy it more.
You've both gone to see bad movies.
Yes. You haven't?
I have, many times.
Yeah,
but
what is your point?
My point is that you're saying, I'm going to see a movie with the expectation that it will be good, but you have also gone to movies with the expectation that it will be exciting, or it will be silly, or it will be... And those don't necessarily connote good. Man, we're going to really get into what is good and how that relates to the Running Man in this series.
I mean, like, I think that's actually very valid for this, because, like, there are some ways in which this is, like, not a good movie, and then there are other ways in which this is a great movie because it is, in fact, a movie.
Yeah, well, that's a debate. Is this a
No, this
movie
is definitely
so
a movie.
bad?
Like, like there's no debating that.
Is
like,
this a movie
incorrect.
so bad that it's good, or is it a good movie that some people think are bad who are intellectuals?
This is going to bake my noodle a little bit, because I don't know that I necessarily feel that this movie is good or bad. There are things about this movie that I find unintentionally hilarious. Like, it is not, like, there are things about this movie that do not make a good movie. However, do I enjoy the fuck out of it? I do.
Unintentionally hilarious because you saw it out of time from when it was made, or because you saw it while being too young to appreciate, like, without other context to compare it against?
Unintentionally hilarious. I guess a little bit of both. Like the technology that's out of date thing, like that's always going to be funny. Like, that's just inherently funny to see, like, holy shit, you thought that we're watching somebody go ascend into the sky with a jetpack right now. Like, the notion that, like, that is something that, like, we were all just going to have access to is rather amusing. But, like, there are also, like, bits of dialogue that are just hilarious in this, that are like, you can't, you know, some of them are intentionally bad, and some of them are just like, oh man, why didn't you think about this just a little bit more? Like, and I'm trying that, like,
You can spoil Sub-Zero versus
Plane Zero.
Plane Zero.
That's one of the ones that is like, obviously they knew that going in. Like, nobody wrote that line and was like, I'm a fucking genius.
Or was it Schwarzenegger couldn't get it through? Like, how many times do you think Schwarzenegger struggles with dialogue. Not that he's not an
What do you mean
articulate person.
struggles with dialogue?
He struggles with dialogue everywhere.
Have you let him talk? He struggles with the dialogue as it comes out of his mouth.
That's actually like one of the best Schwarzenegger impressions I've ever come across.
Don't worry, I'll get worse.
That wasn't a green light to stop or to keep going. Like,
to your Blade Runner point about, well, not your point, but your suggestion of Blade Runner, the thing they got wrong was that they thought we would have an energy revolution.
Yeah.
And what we had was a communications revolution. You don't need to use a flying car to get somewhere. You can just zoom.
or take a plane.
Oh, no, I meant go. You don't need to. No, you don't need to fly to that other location.
That's what you mean. I was like, yeah. There's a word for zooming in the air.
I recognized I was saying a trademarked company's name for Kleenex. No, it's facial tissue, Kyle. It's facial tissue.
Oh, man.
You can use web conferencing or Zoom or Skype. How did Skype fuck up the pandemic? Sorry.
Because they weren't that good to begin with, and they got scooped.
Agreed. Agreed.
No, like the things that like I find funny about this is like a lot of it has to do with the character of Buzzsaw. So there's a point where Buzzsaw does his buzz sawing, and it does not go well for him. And like all I can think in my mind is like, dude, it's a fucking chainsaw. Like you're pulling the trigger. Stop pulling the trigger. Like there is like things like that where it's just like, my God, like.
So it's a dumb decision because that's something like in horror movies, people will say, "Don't go upstairs." That's fun to go to a horror movie where people are yelling, "Don't go upstairs," and then they go upstairs.
Yes,
but I prefer the horror movie where they go outside and then something else unexpected happens.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. What movie has that happened for you? I've never seen a movie where they go outside and something else happens.
I'm sure they did it in one of the later Screams.
Oh, it happened in Shrek.
It's actually Shrek Forever
Shrek.
After. As I sit here next to a stuffed animal Hulk that kind of looks like a Shrek. Sorry, this is an audio podcast, but you've never seen an elevated horror movie that they don't do. The people act at the top of their intelligence. This is not a movie where people act at the top of their intelligence.
Yeah, but an example I would give you is like, you know the role where you put a blanket over you and the ghost can't, or the monster can't get you.
That's like a kid feeling, yeah.
I know, but in Conjuring, was it Conjuring or something? Someone goes under the blanket and they get pulled out. I thought that was clever.
Yeah, that's an example of what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. This is a debate show. Random topic injection. This is a Richard Bachman Stephen
Take a shot for every debate show, he says.
I would need to refill now in order to do that. No, we don't need to do that.
I was gonna do a pause just so you could refill. The topic I was gonna introduce, or I'll
go refill then.
Okay. While you refill, I'm going to explain the topic and then make my brother go. Get your small white ass out of that small chair. That'll make more sense when you get to part 3. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The interview part.
Kyle has spent a lot of time looking at my derrière. Real quick though, as far as this goes, does my mic travel with me? So
you can actually talk while you're going.
Yeah. Okay.
This will be exciting for the audience.
Yeah.
What?
No, listen to me while I go get a drink.
What movie?
I'm still talking while I'm getting a drink.
Made better.
Derailing.
By having Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, that is based on a. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
Based on a Stephen King work.
I don't know. How many Stephen King works has he been in?
Are you fucking kidding me? The Shawshank Redemption? No, okay.
He wasn't in there.
No, I see what you're saying.
Sorry. Was in that movie.
My question, so Arnold's only ever been in one Stephen King related project, but Stephen King projects in cinema they abound. So you've got The Shawshank Redemption, you've got It, you've got The Shining. Should I narrate? What's going on? Is it good?
Yeah, still feeling good?
No, not are you feeling good?
Yeah, are you still feeling good?
I'm feeling great. I'm debating you on if you need to sound good.
Yeah, no, like we already made eye contact with it. I would be told otherwise. Like that's why do two things at once.
You're right.
Shut up.
I can't shut up and talk. I can shut up my mind and talk, which, sometimes I do. So take a Stephen King movie, The Green Mile, and tell me what's a Stephen King movie that would be better with Arnold?
Oh, The Shining.
him chasing down.
with Arnold as Shelley Duvall.
So it's a gay couple. It's Jack Nicholson and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Would that not make that movie so much more entertaining?
If he kept the performance that she had, and then Stanley Kubrick kept being an asshole to Arnold, like to the point of Arnold being in tears on take 100. Because that's the whole thing with the shitting is that he made Shelley Duvall he was the David Fincher of the time.
Absolutely.
Where he would just do hundreds of takes. And that, again, is why Clint Eastwood's the fucking man. Because if he does 3 takes, he's angry.
Yep.
Well,
Which I completely empathize with.
It doesn't get better. It, like, changes.
No, after 3, like, you tend to get diminishing returns.
I did a 4th take for a video I had to do for my 9-to-5 job because I blew the 2nd take, and on the 3rd take I got an email and had to shut off sound notifications, and then realized that Teams doesn't share those in the recording, but I heard it in my reality. That's a plug for Microsoft. Thank you, Bill Gates. Or I guess he's not the reason.
You can still thank him.
I don't really want to, because
Who do you want to thank instead?
Steve Jobs, because he's dead.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
He's at
No, he's
Microsoft.
not.
What? Oh, you're right.
This is a debate podcast.
Yes, Steve Jobs, Elvis, and Tupac. We're all at karaoke last week. Kirk, what's a Stephen King movie you like or can think of?
Shawshank Redemption, but I don't know if Arnold would be good in that movie.
If he
It's such
took
a
over
serious
Tim
movie.
Robbins' part,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. So Arnold
Dude,
getting
when he's like
ass
out
raped.
in the rain at the end and he's like screaming at the. Oh, that'd be great. Here's something that I would love to know how you both feel about. So in watching this, I don't feel like I'm spoiling this, in that like this is such a fucking 80s movie. Like
This came out in the 80s?
yeah, right? Like
I'll debate you on what time is. Sorry.
everything about this is just so incredibly 80s. And in watching it, like I was actually having a little bit of trouble thinking of movies that are more 80s than this, because movies in the 80s do have a very specific feel, not just in like the texture and quality of the cinematography, but also in terms of the acting style, in terms of the costuming, certainly in terms of the soundtrack. Like I feel like this is up there for me as far as like 80s movies go, with like Earth Girls Are Easy.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Yep.
And Damon Wayans?
And Jeff Goldblum. And Gina Davis.
She is a feminist icon. I love
She
Gina
is.
Davis.
She is also like, I could
Wait,
watch that
is
woman.
that your
anything.
thing?
Gina Davis?
She's your thing?
She's one of my things,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
As much as I can have a thing that is a person.
No, I mean like your type of.
Yes.
Yeah, let's debate that, sure.
Yeah.
Let's debate how okay it is to see women as objects.
Let me put it this way. I
Apologies to all
have a
women.
very professional crush on Gina Davis.
Oh yeah.
I would watch anything that she's in. I have always liked Gina Davis. Quite a
Mrs.
bit.
Farx and I have an agreement that, not an agreement, but like something that she's been okay with, which is like lusting after women who are like 20 years
Who
my
are
senior.
out of your league?
Yeah, Gina Davis is definitely out of my league. Lusting after women who are, again, if you agree that time and space are a reality, objective reality, that if they're like 20 years older than me lusting after a woman that's like a score of years older than me is not,
Sure.
like I'm not gonna. I hope not. I obviously know that and
Would
control
you like
that.
to defend yourself some more?
I was gonna say, yeah, you're setting yourself up. Like,
I'm trying to think of like
Thank you. I'm so glad that I'm not the only one who heard that.
Yeah.
the mental block I'm having right now is I keep thinking of Glenn Close and how like I respect.
She's not Gina Davis.
I know. I'm thinking of an
That's Glenn
actress
Close.
who is Glenn Close and Gina Davis are different actresses, and
I'm so glad I could tell them apart.
I don't
I'm-
think that they are. Like, I think that this is another Richard Bachman, Stephen King situation.
No, that's not the
Shut
same
up.
thing. Drink every time Ian says "shut up." So a more
We should have set
80s,
this up earlier, because now, like, yeah.
a more 80s movie could be Beetlejuice, and then I think about how much influence Tim Burton has had on the 80s.
Ooh, so like Beetlejuice is definitely an 80s movie. However, I feel like it's not a movie that is trapped in the 80s. This movie could not have been made at any other time. Like I feel like Beetlejuice would have come out roughly the same way.
In 91?
Yes. in Clinton's first term. No, like I think that
wasn't Clinton's first term.
Shut up.
That's HW still, baby.
It was still HW. Yeah. You're absolutely wrong. But I feel like that, like for that script, for that style, because I mean, like Tim Burton also has a very specific style.
Yes.
And that's evolved with the technology that's been at hand. But Beetlejuice feels more like a Tim Burton movie than an 80s movie.
I thought of that argument against myself before I went for it, and I guess I would
Moron.
argue. Thank you. That is the opposite of what moron means. A moron doesn't realize they're stupid. An idiot knows they're stupid. That's something my father made me learn when I was a young boy.
Okay, Dad.
My adopted father.
Yeah, like
because Kirk and I have the same.
Yeah.
Because we're brothers.
I heard. Yeah.
Thank you. It's an important part of the lore
Yeah.
of the show. Is Blade Runner a more 80s movie? It's 82, right?
Is it 82?
It is 80. I can't remember if it's 82 or 85.
I mean, if it's 82, like either one of those, like that's a feat for that movie. I feel like.
Here's another example. Indiana Jones. No, because that's
also. I feel like that's timeless enough. Like that. I guess that's what I mean by an 80s movie is timed versus timeless.
Yeah.
Like Indiana Jones is like, even if you were to drop that movie brand new in 2025, it would still have a lot of the same feeling. Like you'd probably have you'd have like different special effects, but it would still essentially be that story, and it would feel that way.
There are different parts of the 80s, and this is late 80s, whereas 1980, Blues Brothers comes out, and they're changing the disco era into something else. It's the postmodern kind of...
Yeah, Blues Brothers feels more like a 70s movie to me.
Yeah, because it was made in the 70s and came out in the 80s.
But also, like, in terms of what films would do, the type of storytelling, just like the feel, and again, the texture of like the actual cinematography of what they're putting out, and like the speed at which they're delivering dialogue, and the space that they're giving themselves. Like this is like, so we're watching right now the dancers in Running Man, where like there's just like these like 20 fucking dancers that also look incredibly 1987.
Well, no, actually, Jane Fonda had been doing her workout videos like that since the early part of the 80s, and it was starting to die out in the late 80s.
All right, fine, Pete Ant. It's still very 80s.
What's
like,
Pete Ant?
Pete Ant? You're being pedantic?
Thank you.
That is still something that like so locks this movie into the 80s, is that is part of like the show of Running Man in its title sequence, and it's like gratuitous, and it happens all the fucking time throughout this. There's like 6 minutes of like these dancers in here that doesn't need to be there. And if Running Man came out in 1977, that shit wouldn't be there. If it came out in 1992, that shit wouldn't be there. Like a dance squad like this is so fucking 80s.
I'm going to use...
They may as well be drinking Tab.
I'm going to pivot to my brother and say how I really want to bate the movie The Substance. Do you know what that is?
I'm guessing it's a movie, but called The Substance.
Thank you. Where he knows what it's about. Demi Moore, it starts out as one of those kind of exercise art. He doesn't want to watch it because he's heard it's body horror.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of body horror.
He doesn't like body horror.
Explain what body horror is to me.
It's like grotesque body... I don't know, dismemberment, I want to call it. Yeah.
Dismemberment can be an aspect of body horror, for sure. I'm going to come back to your 80s thing and what makes
sure.
But yeah, every time I see jazzercising or whatever you call that type of dancing, where it's like clearly some people are working out to this, some people are working it out to this. Yeah. I did a masturbating.
I saw your
joking.
wink. I think I might have heard your wink.
Oh, you should have.
I might have felt it. Jesus, yeah.
Feel it up and down.
No wonder why these walls look so sticky.
What do you call the type of
ceiling? It's a popcorn ceiling.
Popcorn ceilings?
Yeah.
That's just a high masturbatory excess.
Yeah.
So I thought you were going to say it was like dry semen or something.
Yes, that's what masturbatory excess means. Can we please debate the substance?
Why do you want to debate the substance?
I mean, I think you just named the substance.
So 80s movies specifically, I notice, especially in once Reagan has hold and won handedly, they got shorter because having movies that are under 2 hours long was more profitable because you could get people in at the 7, the 9, the 11, the 3, the 5. And movies in the 70s were over 2 hours. Mm-hmm. You're laughing because, is that Frank Zappa's son?
That is Dweezil Zappa.
Dweezil.
Giving, I think, his one line. Oh, man.
SAG card.
It's total SAG card. And if you ever want to read a real sad story, check out the story of the Zappa children. It's, not to bring
Frank
it down.
Zappa's children, the guy who made that music didn't raise children well?
He raised, the issue is that he was inconsistent with his kids. Definitely different treatment for different kids, and there's a lot of animosity, and it's just sad. There's no reason to do that to your kids.
Oh, God.
I didn't mean to bring it down.
No. I think that's an important thing, because I think about that with, I do treat my 2 kids differently.
As in, one of them has a bed and the other doesn't?
Yeah, what do you mean?
One of them likes to read Bane comics over and over.
Okay.
Bane from Batman. I know you don't know who that is. Did you know who I meant?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's 16?
She is 3. The younger one likes to read Bane comics over and over, and the 4-year-old likes to read about animals. And I know what you mean is probably fiscal support or something like that, or time with your children. And I try to spend equally in both time and fiscally.
Yes.
I think that's what you're referring to.
That is 100% what it is.
Audience. So actually pivoting right to the difference between an early 80s movie and a late 80s movie is that an early 80s movie is still hungover from the 70s where we were dealing with hard F films, whereas in the later part of the 80s when movies became product that we're selling, Wall Street comes to mind.
You know something like that? I know that we're supposed to debate about things, but that is 100% correct. Yeah, no, you should have tried harder because, you fucking nailed that.
I'm trying to think of other Stephen King movies that you could put Arnold in.
I
haven't heard that as a comedy concept, so really that's what I was thinking.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot, and it all depends on which era of Arnold too, because this is also an earlier era of Arnold where he's clearly a lot stiffer as an actor.
He's 10 years in it by this point.
He's still not comfortable with it. He's comfortable enough to hit his marks. He knows what he as a person needs to do the job of acting. He still does not really know how to act.
Can I bait you on why that's the case in this movie versus, say, Predator? And why Predator is I'm going to. I didn't need your consent.
Yeah, then why did you ask for it?
He had a back injury going into this movie and wasn't able to work out as much, so his biceps weren't as big as they were in some...
That's why he's a poor actor. Yeah.
It impeded his acting, so it got worse or better?
He said he was insecure because he's not secure in acting. Arnold is secure and can do a variety of acting. He can be in a comedy like Twins and be in Terminator 2 within a couple of years of each other. That's range.
But that's also significantly after this.
It's about 5 years after
Terminator,
this.
he plays a robot, so we're not expecting him to be Oscar-worthy acting.
And Terminator also came before Twins, and it also happened in line with this, with Running Man, where this is what he's known for. Terminator in that series is kind of him at the pinnacle of being Arnold. And it wasn't until after that they were like, hey man, if you really want to try doing something, if you want to keep longevity, let's throw you in a couple comedies. Everything that they throw him in a comedy too is just him. It's still it's really smart from a production standpoint of just setting him up to just be himself. It's still just be Arnold as a fish out of water.
He is frequently a fish out of water because you
he's
have
a bad
to
actor.
Explain why someone looks like that. A normal advertising executive in Minneapolis in Jingle All the Way, being that buff, sticks out, but they don't talk about it, and it sort of works. And I prefer, here's a bait, Jingle All the Way versus Home Alone. Jingle All the Way over Home Alone.
Oh my God, get the fuck out of your own house.
No.
Incorrect.
I love
Home Alone. You like Jingle All the Way more than Home Alone?
I do like Jingle All the Way more than Home Alone.
What is wrong with you?
Because I don't really care for Home Alone on some level.
That's even worse.
I think John Hughes was phoning it in that time.
With Home Alone, you feel like John Hughes was phoning it in. I will need to. Have you debated Home Alone on here?
We haven't. I
should have asked for that.
Okay.
I will come back and do that.
We'll do a Christmas episode. I'll bring you.
I'll see you next week.
I'll bring one of my non-farcical sister or brother-in-law, and and bait that because they're really into it. But as somebody who despises Minnesota nice, but has taken Minnesota as a home, I prefer Jingle All the Way, Minnesota's Jingle All the Way to Chicago's Home Alone.
But they're
and I'm willing to go to the mattresses over there.
Midwesterners, though.
Well, the Midwest is best, clearly.
That also just brought up another one for me too, which is like which of the Mighty Duck series is the best one?
Probably 2.
All right, I guess that's not a debate anymore.
God damn it. I did like 3, though. It's kind of like Aladdin, Prince of Thieves.
I mean, 2 is also the one where I read the book of the movie.
You what?
Yeah, I found it like at a book fair when I was like 7, and
the novelization, not like a movie. It wasn't based on that.
D2, The Mighty Ducks, based on a true story, where the first one was made up, but the second one is based on a true story.
So with Die Hard 2, I think it was based on a book, but a book not related to the Die Hard series. So someone wrote a screen. That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's beautiful.
Something like that.
That's fucking beautiful. I got another question for you. Do you both know who Kurt Fuller is?
No, I don't.
Describe him.
So Kurt Fuller, I'm going to take this moment to encourage everybody else to pull out their phone, because I'm doing that at the moment as well.
You're most likely listening to this on your phone. I can look at how people listen to our show.
All right, fine.
Sorry.
Pull up a browser. Go look up Kurt Fuller.
What's this thing called the internet?
Yeah, like it's
what
over.
This person would be known for.
Kurt Fuller is he was the assistant in this. He is basically like, this is the start of him being an assistant producer in a bunch of different movies. Like he's a supporting character actor in a bunch of different movies. You will absolutely recognize him if you see him. Looks like that.
Oh, Kurt Fuller. I'm watching something he's in right now.
So he was in Wayne's World as the assistant producer. He's in this as the assistant producer. Like, this is the start of him showing up in a string of movies where he's basically just that guy, where he is like kind of goofy, like somewhat well-intentioned, supporting character of the big bad.
He's the protagonist's colleague in the television show Evil from the Kings.
Sure.
You know that exists?
Sure.
No.
I don't.
The people who made The Good Wife and The Good Fight have another TV show that just ended this year called Evil, Evil.
How else would you spell evil?
With Knievel?
That's still spelled evil.
Well,
Yeah,
I actually thought he spelled it with 2 E's. I'm not lying.
Like, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm dumb sometimes.
We're not going to debate that.
Kurt Fuller.
Swish.
But we'll debate the difference between a moron and an idiot. Kurt Fuller was in like Disney shows,
played.
wasn't he?
Yeah, that dude. He's been like, he shows up in all sorts of places, but like this is one of the earliest times that I've seen him show up, and he's a joy to watch on screen. He's got also just like as a character actor, he's got a good awareness of like what he does and what he does well.
Is it because he's a bald guy?
Yeah, that's it.
And he's been bald since the 80s.
He's been bald since he was born. He was born with that hairline.
So Steve Martin was always gray or white?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like he was born like a 6'3" gray-haired man.
So my adopted father.
It was like a 9-day birth.
I'm gonna open up to you. My adopted father and I don't agree about who is funnier, Bill Murray or Steve Martin. And I'm not going to answer that question right now.
Oh, please do.
No.
Why not?
Well, my father fell
If I
on
tickle you, will you do it?
Steve Martin side, and I already answered it. He's actually trying to tickle me.
I mean, I'm within distance. Like,
what do you think it means when I say my father's on the Steve Martin side?
I'm guessing that it means that he thinks that Steve Martin is funnier.
And so my bald father, adopted father, telling me that Steve Martin...
This is great.
A gray-haired man who still has his hair, because my adopted father was a bald guy. I used to call him Bald One when I was like 12.
Dang.
How have I lived this long, right? And I knew exactly how far I could go. Kurt Fuller. It clicked with me very early on that like he respects a guy that at least had hair, even though it was gray or white.
that being the barometer.
That being the barometer for why Steve Martin over Bill Murray. Where are you, Bill Murray or Steve Martin?
Ooh.
Take out recent events.
Yeah. If I'm just going in the vacuum of their work.
Damn, that's a good way to say it. Like, oh, if I'm in the vacuum of Woody Allen's work.
I was just talking about this with somebody last night about basically artistic monsters.
Like somebody who would tickle someone in the middle of a podcast?
No, that's just joyful.
Yeah, like Kamala's campaign. It's flawless. Sorry.
I think I'm still going Steve Martin.
It would depend on what angle you're measuring from, because Bill Murray never did Ron Howard's Parenthood.
Yeah.
But Steve Martin was never as
It depends
fucking cool as Ghostbusters. Sorry.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's whether or not you want silliness or sarcasm. And I tend to, when I'm like consuming comedy, I want silliness over cutting.
I think Stallone would have made this movie better than Schwarzenegger. And I know both of you are going to be like, no, it's got to be Arnie. But he has pathos. And that would have given the movie a different dimension than it already has. It would still be ridiculous.
I see what you're saying.
That I appreciate, and thank you.
Well, just because I see it doesn't mean it's correct.
I understand that you're going to bait me. This is a debate show, a Midwestern debate show.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Like that's a choice. I feel like Schwarzenegger is so correct for this. Like, this movie works without him, but he's the one that takes it from, like, he gives it the right element of good bad / bad good.
Explain the difference between those two things.
So a good bad movie versus a bad good movie. A good bad movie is a movie that is, like, on its surface, like, you know, technically satisfies the presence of being, or it satisfies the promise of the premise of being a movie. It's just not great. Like, it's not great storytelling, but it's, like, so bad that it's still enjoyable. Like, you know right away to not take it too seriously. A bad good movie is a movie that is, like, so deep up its own ass that it's really insufferable.
Is this a video game movie?
No.
Explain what you mean.
Thank you for asking. What I mean is that in video games, there are clear objectives. Like there is in the movie Running Man. Run, man. Get away. There are bosses in video games. Like there's a boss you have to beat at the end, and then there are like mid-level bosses in between. And I've spoiled nothing. And if you need to move this to the spoiler section, brother, to...
I think so surface level, you can apply that to almost anything else.
No, you can't apply it to Terms of Endearment, because that's a very 80s movie.
That's not what I mean.
So, like, as far as, like, anything else, like, I'm thinking about, like, I get what you mean by, can you apply this to anything else? Because, like, just for whatever reason, the movie that came to mind is Forrest Gump.
That's not a video game.
It's not a video game, but, like...
It's a restaurant.
That's Bubba Gump, but yes. No, but, like, I think what you're referring to is just a journey.
Yeah.
No, that's not specific enough.
Godzilla Minus One could be debated as a video game movie. He gets defeated by the bad guy, and then he has to restart. He has to get all his skills again.
Yeah.
He has to take a job. He goes on a quest. The first quest comes back to haunt him. And then he fights Godzilla at the end.
Just because you can reframe.
You're right. You are correct. Shut up.
There are specific levels, whereas in Godzilla, there are times when it's like, oh, we're an adopted family. And the concept of us being... Have you seen Godzilla Minus One?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, really? Wow.
Yeah, a very long time ago, but
within the past 2 years. Clearly.
Within the past 2 years, yeah.
I'll come back to this later because I'm asking as your friend and not as somebody on the show. It has.
My godson wanted to see it, and I was like, sure, let's do this.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Thank you.
It wasn't me going out of my way to be
Did you
this
like
is
it?
The one. As we were saying, like it was fine. Like to what we were talking about before.
No, I wept. It was one of my top 10 last year.
Shut up. For movie rewatches, like I am somebody who, like, the first time that I watch a movie, no matter what movie it is, it washes over me.
Oh.
I very much like I'm just like in there with the experience of it. Like I have a really hard time like picking things out.
Okay, I don't care. How was your godson? Did he enjoy it?
He had a great time.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
That's what the audience is thinking.
Yeah.
He told me to shut up.
Yeah, we could have told him to shut up back. That would have been
I did that in a different way.
Yeah, a Midwestern way, maybe?
It was also the first time. Like, you took this for, like, a lot. Like, before you finally gave me one back.
That's why Stallone's better than Arnold, because he knows how to take a punch and then deliver at the end. All they care about is how you end the fight, not how you do in the middle.
What?
Is that
Rocky.
a good place
Rocky's
to
a bad boxer because he takes a bunch of punches, He should be trying to avoid the punches, but I do really think that Rocky, much like Godzilla -1, has emotional pieces to it.
Whoa, that's a giant leap.
That's not
as
where I
big as
thought that this
Godzilla,
journey was
yeah.
going.
They have pieces that don't work in a video game. There's nothing outside this movie that works outside of just being pure video game.
Yeah,
It's
but
part
a
of
video
the
game
objective.
is more than like a journey of fighting bosses.
It's a game.
In a literal sense, yes, they are playing a game. They are, but technically, there are no winners in this game.
Yeah, I also
He
feel like
literally
saying that
wins
it's
the game.
I also
So-
feel like saying it's a video game movie on a movie that's about a game show is already kind of a cop out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
I'll take
it's
that
a
one.
cop out. It's a cop out in terms of like what the movie actually is, because like yeah, of course it's a video game movie. It's also it's a game movie, but also you're just talking about Journey
I hear you
and
both.
not the band that is also from the 80s.
Carry on my...
That's Kansas.
Wow, I fucked that up. And Journey
You
was...
did. You also sounded awful
Thank
doing
you.
it. Yeah.
Journey is my senior class song, or band, not song.
Was that the one that was played at your prom?
They must have.
Any way you want it.
No, not any way you want it, but also yes.
Yeah. Mine was Let's Get It On. We had a
Marvin Gaye is way better.
Marvin Gaye is so much
See, I
better.
got that wrong, right? But I got I got classic rock wrong.
Everybody like thought it was hilarious that we were voting for a song called "Let's Get It On" for a high school prom, and in retrospect, like that is one of the greatest songs that we could have ever chosen.
100%.
Yeah,
I can't hear the Journey song we had was the one from Glee in 2009. It was from that after the fact of when we chose it.
did you graduate in 2009?
I'm gonna bring. No, I did not.
He's not going to date himself.
Yeah,
He'll date the podcast, not himself.
I'll date
yeah.
the podcast, not myself.
Kyle is 12.
What did 2017 and 2025 have in common? We talked about that earlier because that's the difference between.
Oh, you want to get? I mean, they
Yeah,
both
you
have a
wanna get
Trump
political,
inauguration.
Yep, that's the thing that happens, and no one could have predicted that when they made these movies. And Celebrity Apprentice with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What year did that come out?
2017?
Yes.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm not a numbers person. I don't believe there's like meaning in numbers or something like that. It was just I looked up those facts today and laughed my ass off.
I mean, those are great facts. I'm also watching Dweezil act really hard right now. That dude is just. There's a lot of really
Wait,
hard
the
acting.
old guy is Dweezil?
No. The
young guy.
The young revolutionary.
The
is
guy
Dweezil.
I think is Dweezil.
The guy who looks like a fucking Dweezil.
Oh yeah, the red hat guy.
I would like to take this moment
That guy.
as the guest to apologize to listeners who thought that they were going to be hearing a really intense debate about things about Running Man. And
Is the
instead got to hear
insurance
it-
industry like Running Man? Given that the United Healthcare, I'll couch this. I'll really make this awful before we start talking about this, and we'll definitely end on this. He's from Maple Grove.
Okay.
And
Oh, that's where you're ending.
no, we're going to Maple Grove to end this. No. The person who was killed yesterday.
Yeah.
From when we're recording this, he lives. He's from, or like where his residence is where my family is. So he's like my sister's family and my parents who moved to the state of Minnesota to be in the state I'm in. Ugh.
Yep.
And these are all adopted because Kirk is my brother. Mm-hmm. We're the Farx Brothers.
Yeah.
When I hear people say, "Oh my God, how could we ever have a system where we watch people toil and trouble and then die in front of us," like Running Man?
Good tie-in. Oh man, I see where this thread is all coming together. It's like 9 threads all coming together right now in this one.
Was lead poisoning a pre-existing condition?
Yeah, what's the pivot to?
Oh no, that was in reference to the topic that I've just introduced. The idea of someone being denied insurance because they have a pre-existing condition.
Oh.
And they had lead poisoning. That would be terrible. Yeah, that's a joke I heard today. It's like Trump getting his ears pierced at Claire's. We got to be able to make jokes about these things. This is coming out next week. No one's gonna by that time it'll
By that time, nobody. Yeah.
There will be so many more CEOs will be shot at, and like the point of the thing I'm about to say would have to go into spoilers. The conclusion of the movie,
Sure.
because
Because naturally, that's it. That I would think that that's a spoiler.
yes,
Although, like, anybody who's listening who has seen Running Man is going to be like, when are they going to get to Running Man?
Well, we talked about Running Man. There's the stupid cars. Like the cars look.
Talk about the cars.
The cars. Look at that car. The stretch. What do you call that? That's an
limo?
80s car.
I
It's a limo.
also will say, so like I did, this is not something, oh, I can save this for spoilers if you
No,
want.
hit all of your pre-spoiler topics now. Let's do a quick.
No,
wrap-up.
this one might actually technically be a spoiler, even though it's a very low key
Let's
spoiler.
debate whether or not it is. Can you say what up to where you think it is a spoiler?
Oh yeah, I was being cheeky and saving it as a spoiler. I watched the credits because I always do.
Oh God!
And there are some amazing no-name roles in these credits where they're just like, I don't know, man. I guess we're gonna call it this person. So like,
got it. Okay.
there is. Do you want me to save these for next?
Let's leave it here because it gives us somewhere to come at the next episode.